Ahsoka Tano was born in 36 years before the Battle of Yavin on the Togruta homeworld of Shili. The girl appeared to be Force-sensitive, and 3 years later, the Jedi Master named Plo Koon took the little one to the Jedi Order on Coruscant for her further training. However, this might not have happened, as before Plo Koon's arrival on Shili, a slaver arrived in the settlement where Ahsoka lived and intercepted the signal sent to the Jedi Temple. Masquerading as a Jedi, the impostor intended to kidnap the Force-sensitive Togruta, but failed. The incident with the slaver negatively affected the young Ahsoka, but thanks to Plo Koon's advice and training at the temple, the young Togruta recovered and regained her self-confidence. Under the wise mentorship of masters like Yoda, Ahsoka progressed through the path of a youngling. She successfully completed the trials on Ilum, acquiring her own Kyber crystals, and under the guidance of the architect droid Huyang, assembled her first lightsaber. But the main gain on Ilum was that Ahsoka, having received advice from Yoda, regained her trust in others, thus fully recovering from the emotional scars caused by the incident with the slaver. In 22nd years before the Battle of Yavin, at the age of 14, Ahsoka was appointed as a Padawan to the newly knighted Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. This decision was made in hopes of making Skywalker more responsible, and Anakin's non-standard outlook was supposed to temper Tano's complex character. To say that the information that Skywalker would become Ahsoka's teacher was a shock to everyone would be an understatement. The meeting with her teacher coincided with the young Togruta's first combat experience. This occurred on the planet Christophsis. Besides Anakin, on Christophsis, Ahsoka first met the clone trooper CT-7567 alias Rex, with whom she would go on to fight side by side in many battles. Ahsoka's first combat experience turned out, one might say, successfully. Skywalker and Tano infiltrated the enemy's rear and destroyed the source of the Separatists' shield. However, it could have gone differently, as Ahsoka, due to her lack of experience and excessive recklessness, activated the defender droids. But to her credit, she later demonstrated resourcefulness and rectified her mistake. Destroying the shield helped the Republic forces gain the upper hand. Despite Ahsoka's blunder, Skywalker appreciated the Togruta's actions positively and praised the student for her ingenuity, which became the first building block in establishing their strong teacher-student relationship. Hardly had they recovered from the battle on Christophsis when Ahsoka and Anakin received a new assignment: to find and rescue Jabba's son Rotta. This task was crucial for the possibility of using hyperlanes passing through Hutt space, which would give the Republic a significant advantage in the war. The reconnaissance led Ahsoka, Anakin, and the clones to the planet Teth, where after fighting the droid army, they found Jabba's son. But the most difficult part was still ahead, delivering Rotta to Tatooine, which Ahsoka and Skywalker, of course, handled. It is worth noting that during the mission to rescue Rotta, Ahsoka first fought with a dark side adept, Count Dooku's assassin, Asajj Ventress. After that, Tano and her master went on a mission to the Bit system, but at one point they were contacted by a close Togrutan Jedi Master Plo Koon, who, together with his clone soldiers, got into trouble in the neighboring Abrogado system while hunting for the Separatists' secret weapon. At a conference with the members of the Jedi Council and Chancellor Palpatine, Ahsoka disobeyed her master's instructions, succumbing to emotions, and dared to intervene in the discussion about Plo Koon and his soldiers, for which she received a reprimand from Skywalker. However, Skywalker himself also disobeyed orders and, together with his Padawan, went to the Abrogado system, which turned out to be justified. Plo Koon and several soldiers were found alive and rescued. The rescue of Master Koon revealed the mysterious weapon of the Separatists, the Malevolence ship equipped with a massive ion cannon, which helped the Republic forces to destroy it. It is worth noting that Ahsoka also participated in the operation to destroy the ship. The war continued. Clashes between the Republic Army and the CIS in the Bothawui system led to a victory for the former. Ahsoka's master, Skywalker, was wounded in battle, and his droid R2-D2 was lost. The droid was very important, as it contained secret Republic data in its memory, in addition to Skywalker's personal attachment to it. The search for the astromech led our heroes to one of the ruins of Ruusan, where Ahsoka first fought General Grievous. In the end, R2 was found and rescued. After the capture of the Trade Federation's vice-chairman Newt Gunray, Ahsoka Tano and Master Luminara Unduli were tasked with escorting the Neimoidian to Coruscant for trial. On the way to the capital, separatist droids and Asajj Ventress infiltrated the ship. Ahsoka and Luminara Unduli fought Dooku's assassin. Initially, their actions were not coordinated, and the Jedi lost to the bald opponent. The Mirialan could have even died, but Tano saved her. Later, Luminara and Ahsoka combined their efforts, but it was not enough, and Ventress managed to escape, kidnapping Gunray. Then Ahsoka saved Skywalker and Kenobi on Angkor, after which she and her master were sent on a mission to rescue Jedi Knight Aayla Secura, where Skywalker was seriously wounded. In an attempt to escape from the Separatist forces, Ahsoka, Secura, the wounded Skywalker, and the clones crashed on the planet Maridun. On Maridun, the primary task was to keep Skywalker alive and contact the Republic for evacuation. During the search for help, Ahsoka admitted to Secura that she was confused, as on one hand any form of attachment was forbidden for a Jedi, but on the other hand, Jedi should show compassion. Secura responded that she understood the Togruta, as she herself had felt attachment to her former master, Quinlan Vos, but she had managed to let him go. The quest for aid proved successful, and the local populace of the Lurman assisted in healing Skywalker. Soon, separatists under the command of Lok Durd arrived on the planet. Durd intended to test a new weapon on the Lurman, a defoliator tank, but the Jedi defended the village and saved the locals from annihilation. Afterward, the trio of Kenobi, Skywalker, and Tano set off for Naboo, where they discovered a secret separatist laboratory, where Dr. Nuvo Vindi was developing a dangerous virus called the Blue Shadow. Thanks to intelligence gathered by Ahsoka and Rex, both Obi-Wan and Anakin were able to infiltrate the laboratory unnoticed and capture the Doctor. However, one of the droids managed to release the virus inside the laboratory, resulting in the infection of Tano, Rex, Amidala, and other clones. The infected had only to hope that the antidote would arrive in time. Ahsoka lost consciousness and was near death, but both Obi-Wan and Anakin managed to secure the antidote and save the survivors. In the Battle of Ryloth, Ahsoka was given command of a squadron for the first time. During the attack, 90 Gruta fell into a trap. Tano, ignoring her teacher's order to retreat, suffered enormous losses. This was a severe blow to the girl. The loss of pilots left her with mental scars and a bitter sense of guilt. After some time, the Republic forces launched a new attack. Ahsoka, haunted by her previous failure, reluctantly took the lead again. Unlike the previous unsuccessful attempt, she did everything correctly, contributing to the breakthrough of the Ryloth blockade. It's worth noting the unconventional maneuver proposed by the Togruta, which influenced the battle's outcome. Ahsoka and the Venator, turning their belly towards the Separatists to keep the bridge and landing platform safe, lured the enemy into a trap. Allowing the Separatists to come close, the Republic forces launched a bomber attack, flanking the enemy and encircling them. After the success in space, Ahsoka helped provide air support to the ground troops, significantly contributing to the liberation of the Twi'lek homeland. Later, Tano, Skywalker, and Kenobi were sent to Felucia. Due to the enemy's numerical superiority, the Republic forces began an evacuation. Despite Kenobi and Skywalker's instructions to retreat, Tano continued to attack during the fight. However, in the end, after Anakin's persistent order, Ahsoka complied, and seeing the complete battle picture from above, realized her mistake. Because of her actions, Tano faced the Jedi High Council. Despite acknowledging her error, the Council punished Ahsoka by assigning her to the Jedi Archives, with Master Jocasta Nu to ponder her actions. While Tano was in the Archives, bounty hunters Cad Bane and Cato Parasiti infiltrated the Jedi Temple. Their target was holocrons containing information about Force-sensitive children. Ahsoka managed to expose and apprehend Parasiti, but Bane succeeded in stealing the holocron and escaping. Learning of Bane's further plans from the Claudite, Anakin and Ahsoka journeyed to the planet Deveron, where the Togruta engaged the mercenary in combat. Defeating the Duros, Ahsoka let her guard down, which Bane seized upon, managing to capture the Padawan. Threatening Skywalker with Ahsoka's death, Bane forced the Jedi to open the holocron and escaped. The Jedi discovered which Force-sensitive children would be targets for the bounty hunter and set off for Naboo, where they managed to prevent the kidnapping of a Force-sensitive Gungan infant and capture Bane. Afterward, learning that the other kidnapped infants were on Mustafar, Ahsoka and Anakin went there and freed the children. Later, Tano, Skywalker, and Kenobi, investigating the disappearance of a medical station over Felucia, encountered separatist droids and were forced to make an emergency landing on the planet. There they stumbled upon a village guarded by bounty hunters. Due to the threat of an attack by Honda's pirates, the Jedi and the mercenaries agreed that the local inhabitants should be trained in self-defense. In the process of training the villagers, Ahsoka learned the lesson that one must be more patient and should not judge everyone the same. After all, the local inhabitants were simple farmers, not clones bred for war, and required a different approach. Ultimately, with combined efforts, the pirates were defeated, and the Jedi, with the help of the mercenaries, returned to the front line. After the adventures on Felucia, our heroes participated in the Second Battle of Geonosis. The Jedi's objective was a factory producing advanced tanks. To support Ahsoka and Skywalker, the familiar Togruta master Luminara Unduli and her apprentice Barriss Offee were sent. The Unduli-Offee duo was the complete opposite of the Skywalker-Tano duo. Unlike Anakin and Ahsoka, who preferred improvisation and always rushed into battle, Luminara and Barriss were known for their discipline, meticulous mission planning, and coordinated actions. Despite their differences, Barriss and Ahsoka became good friends in the future. The Padawans were to infiltrate the factory and destroy it from within, while Anakin and Luminara were to distract the Separatists with a frontal attack. Penetrating the factory, Ahsoka and Barriss activated the charges, hiding inside a tank. Trapped under the rubble, the Padawans were ready to face death but were saved by their masters. Afterward, the Padawans were tasked with delivering medical supplies to Dantooine. It seemed a simple mission, but clones infected with Geonosian brainworms were on board. Over time, the infection spread to all the soldiers, who attacked the Padawans. Ultimately, Barriss also became infected and attacked Ahsoka to infect her as well. Tano, realizing the worms could not tolerate low temperatures, disabled the ship's cooling system. Once the cooling fluid affected the brainworm infecting Barriss, the Mirialan regained some consciousness and begged Ahsoka to kill her. Instead, the Togruta killed the worm as it attempted to exit through Barriss's mouth. Thus, Ahsoka saved Offee's life, but thoughts of what could have happened had she fulfilled Barriss's request did not leave her for a long time. Sometime later, while carrying out missions on the lower levels of Coruscant, Ahsoka's lightsaber was stolen. In the search for the missing weapon, she was helped by an old wise Jedi named Tera Sinubi. Sinubi's methods were strange to Tano. He preferred patience and took his time while Ahsoka rushed forward, believing speed to be the decisive factor in their investigation. Over time, the Togruta began to understand and respect the old master's methods, and soon they found the stolen weapon. Before the heroes of this adventure returned to their duties, Tera Sinubi asked Ahsoka to pass on the lessons she learned while working with him to other young Jedi. After Tano and Plo Koon rescued Skywalker and Mace Windu from beneath the wreckage of a Venator-class Star Destroyer, they set out to find the perpetrators of the attack, the bounty hunters Aurra Sing, the young Boba Fett, Castas, and Bossk. Learning that the criminals were on Florum, Tano and Koon went there. Ultimately, Boba Fett was captured and Sing attempted to flee. Ahsoka caught up with the mercenary as she reached Slave One and damaged the ship, causing Sing to lose control and crash. Shortly thereafter, Tano was sent to Mandalore on a mission to educate the youth who were being prepared for governing positions. The main point Ahsoka needed to convey was the unacceptability of corruption. Inspired by the Togruta's lectures, the students began their own investigation into Mandalore's corruption schemes. The investigation revealed shocking details that the criminal schemes were orchestrated by the Prime Minister of Mandalore himself, Almec. At this time, Almec kidnapped the head of Mandalore, Duchess Satine, and attempted to force her to sign a confession of treason. But the timely arrival of the students and Ahsoka managed to thwart and arrest the traitorous minister. After Mandalore, the Jedi Council commended Ahsoka's actions and ordered her to wait at Skywalker's temple. While sleeping, the Togruta had a dream where the mercenary Aurra Sing believed to have perished on Florum, was planning an assassination attempt on the senator from Naboo, Padme Amidala. Despite Ahsoka's warning, Padme did not cancel her planned speech but allowed the Togruta to accompany her. During the speech, Ahsoka's visions became reality. Singh attempted to kill the senator but only managed to wound her, then managed to escape. Nonetheless, Amidala refused to abandon her mission. For safety, she gave her speech remotely, using a droid dressed in her attire as a decoy. Aurra Singh did not fall for this trick, but this time she was captured and neutralized. Following this, Ahsoka successfully participated in a mission to liberate Pantora, and then for the second time, she traveled to the ice-cold world of Ilum. The goal was to find a crystal for her second lightsaber. Finding the crystals and assembling her second lightsaber, Ahsoka began training, as fighting with two blades was new to her. Once during a training session with her teacher, they were visited by Yoda, who wished to observe Tano's progress in lightsaber use. Yoda effortlessly parried Ahsoka's attacks, after which he gave the young Togruta advice. The first piece of advice was that her blades should resemble a master and apprentice, and the second was that in battle, Ahsoka should be herself. Afterward, she successfully blocked Yoda's strike, to which he commented that she learns well. The training continued. One time, Ahsoka was training with Barriss. During their sparring session, the girls had a discussion. Offie reproached her friend for not adhering to lightsaber combat forms, to which Ahsoka responded that in real battles, forms do not help. After the training, while meditating, Ahsoka concluded that Barriss was right, and she needed to think like a Jedi and train more. Suddenly, her meditation was interrupted by Padme, who knocked on the Padawan's door. Amidala asked for a security check ahead of important political negotiations. Tano agreed. She checked the perimeter but refused to be present at the meeting, citing that politics was not her domain. Before leaving, Ahsoka noticed an intriguing detail. The table set for the negotiations had utensils that could offend the invited party. When Amidala questioned the maid about the offensive items on the table, the servant opened fire on the senator. The maid turned out to be the mercenary Cato Parasiti, whom Padme and Ahsoka managed to stop together. This was not the end of their adventures with Amidala. Afterward, Ahsoka accompanied her and Anakin to Alderaan, where they encountered a separatist fleet, and later Ahsoka taught the senator how to pilot a starfighter when they were attacked by a vulture droid. Ahsoka progressed in her Jedi training, which was recognized by Master Yoda himself. Yoda highlighted the Togruta's courage and bravery as well as her modesty regarding her accomplishments. He believed these qualities were signs of maturity and saw great potential in Ahsoka. He personally awarded Tano an addition to her Padawan braid. However, while Ahsoka felt at home on the battlefield, her political acumen was lacking. Therefore, to learn about political matters, Skywalker sent Tano with Amidala on a secret mission to negotiate with Confederacy of Independent Systems Senator Mina Bonteri, an old friend of Padme. While the senators conversed, Ahsoka had a dialogue with Bonteri's son, after which she ceased to believe that all separatists were the same, and realized that there were good people among them as well. The negotiations went well, and a peaceful resolution of the conflict was brought to the Senate session. However, a terrorist attack orchestrated by Grievous on Coruscant made the Senate reconsider and abandon the peaceful resolution. Then Tano, along with Skywalker and Kenobi, was dispatched to investigate a strange distress signal that hadn't been used in over 2,000 years. Upon arriving at the location, they were drawn inside a giant monolith to the planet Mortis. There, our heroes encountered a girl who introduced herself as the Daughter, and they followed her. Due to a landslide, the group split up, and Ahsoka and Kenobi were forced to seek another route. Meeting a man who introduced himself as the Son, and exchanging a few words with him, the Jedi hurried to find shelter. In a dream, Ahsoka had a vision of her older self who warned her, saying that attachment to Skywalker was a mistake that would bring her no good. Shortly after this, Tano and Kenobi were kidnapped by the Son and the Daughter. The father, the ruler of the Mortis realm, presented Skywalker with a choice: save Tano or Kenobi. Drawing power from Mortis, Skywalker saved both and refused the father's offer to take his place. Afterward, the Jedi set out for home from the planet, but before they could leave Mortis's atmosphere, the Son kidnapped Ahsoka. attempting to use her to coerce Anakin to join his side. Furthermore, he infected Tano with the dark side of the Force. Using the corrupted Ahsoka, the son acquired the Mortis dagger, a weapon capable of killing him, the daughter, or the father, and then killed Tano. After a failed attempt to kill the father, during which the daughter took the son's blow, the son, realizing what he had done, fled in horror. To revive and heal Ahsoka, the injured daughter sacrificed herself, after which our heroes left Mortis. But with the daughter's death, the balance of the Force was lost. In 21 years before the Battle of Yavin, Jedi Master Even Piel was captured by Separatist forces. Along with Captain Wilhuff Tarkin, Piel held crucial information about secret hyperspace routes. After his capture, he was sent to the ancient prison known as the Citadel, which was designed to imprison Jedi. The Council devised a plan to rescue Piel. Due to the dangers of the mission, Skywalker forbade Ahsoka from participating, after which she sought advice from Master Plo Koon. According to the plan, to bypass the Separatist scanners, the Jedi and clones were to undergo carbonite freezing. Upon arriving at Lola Sayu, the planet where the Citadel was located, the Jedi were surprised to find Ahsoka among their ranks, who said that Plo Koon had allowed her to join the mission. After finding the Jedi Master, the rescue team learned from him that he possessed only half of the information and that they needed to find Tarkin as well. Soon after locating the second prisoner, the group decided to split up to increase their chances of escape. Ahsoka found herself in a group with Skywalker, Rex, and Tarkin. Not without adventures, the group reached the landing platform where they reunited with the remaining team members. Facing a numerically superior enemy on the platform, our heroes were forced to retreat. Retreating, the group headed to another evacuation point. On the way, they fell into an ambush in which even Piel was mortally wounded. Before dying, Piel reached out to Ahsoka, and despite her words that she wasn't even assigned to this mission, he entrusted her with his part of the coordinates, saying that from now on she was the most important part of the mission. As a result, the Jedi were able to evacuate from Lola Sayu. Upon arriving on Coruscant, Skywalker asked Master Plo Koon if he had assigned Ahsoka to the mission, to which Plo Koon responded affirmatively. During the battle on Felucia, Ahsoka was captured by Trandoshans, who released her into the jungles of Waska's moon for further hunting as a form of entertainment. There she met other Padawans who briefed her on the situation. Ahsoka tried to reach out to her new friends who had lost hope of rescue, urging them to take action. It wasn't until the death of their leader, Khalifa, that the Padawans decided to resist. Finding a new ally in the Wookiee Chewbacca, the young Jedis managed to assemble a transmitter and then engaged in battle with the Hunters, prevailing thanks to the timely arrival of help from the Wookiee chieftain Tarful. Returning to Coruscant, Ahsoka told Anakin that she survived thanks to his training. After the Umbarans sided with the Separatists, the Grand Army of the Republic was sent to retake Umbara. Ahsoka and Barriss led squadrons of fighters with the task of breaking through the planet's blockade to secure a landing zone for the ground forces. The Padawans successfully completed their mission. While carrying out missions to assist the Togruta settlement on the planet Kiros, Kenobi, Tano, and Skywalker discovered that the Zygerians were intent on reviving their slaver empire, and that the missing Togrutas from the settlement were on Zygeria being prepared for auction. The Jedi then went to Zygeria, where Tano played the role of Skywalker's slave. Upon meeting the Queen, Anakin gained her trust and presented her with the gift of the slave Ahsoka. After Anakin's identity was revealed, and with the arrival of Count Dooku as well as the capture of Rex and Obi-Wan, Tano and Skywalker found where the prisoners were being held. With the help of Plo Koon and his clones, they rescued the captives and destroyed the slaveholding site. After Zygeria, Tano accompanied Senator Amidala to neutral Mandalore to conduct the first peace talks between the Republic and the Separatists. During the negotiations, Lux Bonteri burst into the hall and accused Count Dooku of killing his mother. Droids escorted Lux out of the negotiation hall and took him to a ship where he was spoken to via hologram by Dooku. Eventually, the Count ordered Bonteri's execution, but Ahsoka arrived in time to save the youth. Tano intended to bring Bonteri to Coruscant, but he had other plans. Lux stunned the Togruta with a device and changed course to the planet Karlak, where he met with the Death Watch. Ahsoka pretended to be Bonteri's betrothed and accompanied him to the Mandalorian base. Lux struck a deal with the Mandalorians with the aim of assassinating Dooku. After the Death Watch began destroying the village of the local inhabitants who were being used as slaves, Ahsoka stood up for the locals and engaged in battle with the Mandalorians. With the help of her skills and R2-D2, Tano managed to organize an escape from Karlak, but Banjari left her, unwilling to head to Coruscant. Later, the Jedi Council tasked Tano, along with Skywalker, Kenobi, and Captain Rex, to train and assist the Onderon rebels in their fight against the newly crowned King Sanjay Rash, who had allied with the Separatists. The Jedi successfully trained the Resistance to stand against the droids, and after leaving Ahsoka as the link between the rebels and the Jedi, Skywalker, Rex, and Kenobi departed from Onderon. During her time on the planet, Ahsoka helped rescue the former leader and king of the planet, Ramses Dendup, and also deal a defeat to the Separatist army led by General Kalani. However, during the final battle, Ahsoka failed to save the rebel leader Steela Gerrera, which led to her feeling guilt for a long time over Steela's death. An additional blow to the Togruta was that Steela's brother Saw showed indifference to Tano's attempt to offer her apologies, indicating that he held her responsible for his sister's death. After the death of Steela, Ahsoka visited Elam for the third time. This time she was not seeking a crystal for herself, but was accompanying the younglings. When the group was returning to Coruscant, their ship was attacked by Hondo Ohnaka's pirates, whose goal was kyber crystals. During the attack, Ahsoka saved the younglings but was captured by the raiders. After a while, the younglings freed Tano from captivity, leading to a chase. Suddenly, Separatist forces led by General Grievous landed on the planet. This forced the pirates and the young Jedi to unite, enabling them to leave the dangerous place. Ultimately, the third journey to Ilum became the most memorable for Ahsoka. While carrying out a mission for the Council, Ahsoka and Anakin received news of a terrorist attack at the temple, which resulted in the deaths of 6 Jedi. Mace Windu believed that a Jedi was behind the incident, and since Skywalker and Tano were not present in the temple during the explosion and had alibis, they were ordered to conduct the investigation. The investigation led them from the Jedi to Letta Termund, who had turned her husband, working in the temple, into a walking bomb using nanodroids. When Ahsoka was interrogating Termund, someone used a force choke to kill the suspect and frame the Togruta. Ahsoka was arrested, but she knew she was framed and innocent, so she decided to escape and prove her innocence. During the escape, someone neutralized the clone guards and planted Ahsoka's comlink and lightsabers, thus worsening the already dire situation for the Togruta. Ahsoka fled to the lower levels of Coruscant, telling Skywalker beforehand that she would not stand trial and would prove her innocence. She contacted Barriss Offee, who, as she said, believed in her friend's innocence and promised to help with the investigation. Shortly thereafter, Ahsoka encountered Asajj Ventress, who by that time had become a bounty hunter. Tano persuaded the Night Sister to join forces with her, offering her amnesty from the Republic in exchange for assistance. Upon receiving information from Offee about the warehouse where the nanodroids were kept, Ahsoka and Ventress headed there but ran into a clone patrol. Ventress, claiming she had fulfilled her part of the deal, vanished. Upon arriving at the warehouse with the droids, Ahsoka was attacked by someone dressed in Asajj Ventress's attire, and when the clones arrived to investigate the commotion, Tano was captured. Based on evidence against Ahsoka, the Jedi Council accepted the request of her accuser, Wilhuff Tarkin, to expel her from the Order and hand her over to a military tribunal. Unwilling to accept Ahsoka's guilt, her master Anakin Skywalker conducted his own investigation and found the true culprit, Tano's best friend Barriss Offee. Offee publicly confessed to the crimes, justifying her actions by claiming she had lost faith in the Jedi, whom she believed had strayed from their path. After the trial, Tano was personally pardoned by the Jedi Council. Plo Koon apologized to her on behalf of all the Masters, stating that they were wrong. However, the events related to her expulsion and trial greatly shook Tano's faith in the Jedi. To everyone's surprise, she refused the Council and Skywalker's offer to rejoin the Order. Ahsoka explained that since the Council had lost faith in her, she could no longer find the confidence to trust herself. Skywalker reminded her that he believed in her and fought to prove her innocence. But Ahsoka responded that she could no longer stay and needed to find her path outside the Order. Afterward, she left, and her master stood and watched her departure. After leaving the Order, Ahsoka tried to start a new life. She acquired an old speeder and traveled around Coruscant on it. At one point, the speeder malfunctioned. Ahsoka made an emergency landing on platform 13.13. There, she was helped by Trace Martez, who volunteered to fix the speeder free of charge. Ahsoka agreed and stayed in the workshop. Through her interactions with Trace, the Togruta found out that she held a negative view of the Jedi, which further convinced her not to reveal her identity. Soon, gangsters came to the workshop, demanding money owed to them by Trace's older sister, Rafa. Ahsoka chased the thugs away, knocking out 2 of them. Afterward, the girls went to Rafa, who stated that she had a job that could help the sisters pay off their debts. The job involved repairing 3 cargo droids. However, during the repair process, Ahsoka noticed that this was merely a disguise, and the droids were actually combat models. Unfortunately, Trace had forgotten to install a restraining bolt on one of the droids, and it escaped. After the droid caused considerable destruction, Ahsoka Tano and Trace Martez managed to reactivate it somewhere. Afterward, Rafa sold them, ignoring her sisters and Tano's warnings that the droids could cause significant harm. Despite Rafa's controversial decision, Ahsoka accepted Trace's offer and decided to stay with the sisters for a while. Soon, Rafa found another job for them. It wasn't until they arrived at Kessel that Ahsoka learned the job entailed transporting a shipment of spice to Obadiah, the Pike's homeworld. When the cargo was loaded, Ahsoka entered into a discussion with Rafa, trying to demonstrate that the job was dangerous. After listening to her sister and the Togruta, Trace suddenly opened the cargo hold and the entire shipment was ejected into open space. Following this shocking outburst by the younger Martez sister, the girls needed a plan. Ahsoka mentioned that she had some ideas. Upon arriving at Obadiah, the girls handed over empty containers to the Pikes. Ahsoka used a mind trick, managing to convince the Pike leader Marg Krim not to check the cargo. It seemed the plan would work. However, as the Martez sisters and the Togruta were preparing to leave, Marg Krim's steward decided to check the cargo and discovered the deception. The girls were captured and imprisoned. While detained on Obadiah, the girls were subjected to torture and subsequently made an unsuccessful escape attempt. Following this, Ahsoka decided to save the Martez sisters, risking herself, and made a deal with the Pike, according to which the sisters had to return the cargo within a day, or else the Togruta would be killed. The sisters left, and Ahsoka, not expecting their return, once again escaped from the prison. She planted explosives at the Pike's base and engaged in combat with them. However, the Martez sisters unexpectedly returned with the spice, but there was no longer any need to return the shipment. The girls managed to escape Obadiah unscathed, but Ahsoka's past was no longer a secret. Despite the sisters' negative views towards the Jedi, they understood her. On Coruscant, Bo-Katan Kryze and her people approached the Togruta. They informed her that Deathwatch was no more, and that they were now allies, as they had a common enemy, Maul. Ahsoka accepted Bo-Katan's offer to join her in fighting Maul, and left for Mandalore, leaving her speeder bike with the Martez sisters in case she returned. Together with the Mandalorians, Ahsoka began the search for Maul. Identifying the former Sith's exact location, they contacted the Republic to get reinforcements, as they didn't have enough troops for a siege. As the Republic received the information about Maul's location, a meeting between the former master and apprentice took place. Skywalker couldn't suppress his emotions and inquired about Ahsoka's whereabouts and well-being, but the Togruta remained more restrained. After a brief dialogue, Anakin asked Ahsoka to follow him to the hangar, where a surprise awaited her. Along the way, Ahsoka observed clones, saluting her despite her having left the Order and no longer holding a military rank. Upon entering the hangar, the Togruta saw her friend and comrade-in-arms, Rex, and other soldiers, whose helmets were painted with patterns mirroring the markings on her face. This was not the last surprise. Anakin returned Ahsoka's lightsabers. Suddenly a siren sounded and Obi-Wan arrived. The plans had changed. Skywalker and Kenobi needed to go to Coruscant, which had been attacked by the Separatists. Ahsoka, Rex, and the clones were to fly to Mandalore. Tano bid farewell to her former master, wishing him good luck. She did not yet know that she was seeing him like this for the last time. Upon landing on Mandalore, Ahsoka and her team began their search for Maul, while Bo-Katan went to the palace to see Almec. There, the Mandalorian learned that Maul's target was a Jedi, but she could no longer contact Ahsoka, who had descended into the tunnels in search of Maul. In the tunnels, Togruta was ambushed. Maul's men destroyed all the clones and captured her. In a conversation with Maul, Ahsoka found out he was expecting Kenobi and Skywalker, not her. Additionally, the Zabrak said that soon the Jedi would end and the galaxy would be ruled by Darth Sidious. Tano and Maul did not finish their dialogue as clones led by Rex came to Ahsoka's aid. The former Sith, saying they were destined to fight later, fled. Contacting Kenobi, Ahsoka asked him about Darth Sidious. Obi-Wan shared everything he knew, adding that only Maul, after Dooku's death, could reveal Sidious's secrets and goals, hence he needed to be captured alive. He also expressed his concern about Anakin, asking the Togruta to talk to him. But suddenly Rex interrupted the dialogue, bringing news that a battle had begun in the city. Sometime later, Ahsoka and Maul met again. This time the Zabrak tried to manipulate the Togruta, as he already had information about Ahsoka. His goal was to coerce Ahsoka to his side, arguing that together they could defeat Sidious. Maul explained why he wanted Skywalker to arrive on Mandalore, as the Jedi was the key to overcoming Sidious. By killing Anakin, he would deprive the Sith of his main asset. Ahsoka, learning Maul's plan, refused to join him, as she believed she knew Anakin well and that Maul's words were lies. Then the Togruta and the Zabrak clashed in a duel with lightsabers. The fight was evenly matched, with the advantage shifting from one side to the other. At one point, Ahsoka managed to kick Maul, sending him out of a window. The Zabrak attempted to flee and leave Mandalore, but Ahsoka caught up with him under the city's dome, where the fight continued. The outcome was the capture of the former Sith. After discussing Maul's capture with the Jedi Council, Ahsoka and the clones boarded the Republic Venator named Tribunal to transport the prisoner to Coruscant. On the way to the Republic's capital, Ahsoka had a vision in which she saw Windu fighting Palpatine and Skywalker, betraying the Jedi. She ran to the command center to inform Rex that something terrible had happened to Anakin. At the same time, Order 66 was activated, and the clones attacked the Togruta for reasons unknown to her. Escaping, Ahsoka went to Maul and freed him to distract the clones' attention. Later, with the help of droids, she learned from archival records about the inhibitor chips activated by the clones. After some time, she managed to capture Rex and remove his chip. Free from the chip's influence, Rex and Ahsoka decided to escape from the Venator. Ahsoka asked Rex to switch their weapons to stun mode, as she did not want clone deaths, despite the fact that the clones were divided on her idea, and their goal was to eliminate Rex and Ahsoka. Meanwhile, Maul sabotaged the ship, destroying the hyperdrive. The ship, unable to maneuver, headed straight for a moon. Ahsoka and Rex escaped the Doom Venator at the last moment on a Y-wing starfighter. The Venator crashed, hitting the surface of the celestial body. Soon, Ahsoka and Rex landed near the remains of the ship. They buried the dead clones they found and left evidence indicating their deaths to avoid pursuit by the New Order. Ahsoka Tano fled to the Outer Rim, intending to hide within the Empire. She chose the planet Tabeska, a small agricultural world far from major hyperspace routes. To conceal her identity, Tano took the name Ashla, and found work as a mechanic for the local Fadi clan. However, her stay on Tabeska was brief, as she had to leave when the threat of Imperial agents emerged. Tano found herself on the remote agrarian moon of Ra'ada in the Outer Rim. There, she befriended a local girl named Kaden Late, who was part of the farming community. On Rada, Ahsoka again found work as a mechanic, but the idyll was short-lived. The Imperials arrived on Ra'ada, intending to use the moon as a supply source for the Imperial armed forces. They imposed their order on Ra'ada, enforcing a curfew and setting work quotas for the farmers, which caused discontent among the population. This discontent resulted in an organized resistance that ultimately failed. Ahsoka was part of the Resistance, and she had to confess that she was one of the surviving Jedi. After this revelation, she left Raada, promising her friends she would return. Ahsoka's activities attracted the attention of the Inquisitorius, which sent the sixth brother after her, as well as Bail Organa, the senator from Alderaan, who was secretly fostering the rebel movement. Ahsoka returned to Thabesca, where her return was joyfully welcomed by the Fadi family. From a Force-sensitive girl in the Fadi family named Hidala, Ahsoka learned about the pursuit by the dark side adept, who was the sixth brother. After working for some time for the Fadi clan, Ahsoka was forced to leave Thabesca permanently, as the Imperials had become interested in her identity, making it unsafe for her to remain on the planet. Subsequently, Bail Organa contacted Ahsoka, offering her to join the ranks of the Resistance. Ahsoka accepted. Her first mission in the rebel ranks was to eliminate the sixth brother, who was searching for her on Raada. Confronting the dark side adept, she engaged in battle with him. During the fight, she managed to break the power cell in the Inquisitor's lightsaber hilt, causing it to overload and explode. The explosion killed the sixth brother. Ahsoka extracted the kyber crystals from his weapon and, using the Force, purified them from the influence of the dark side, thus turning them white. The crystals were the missing piece for her new lightsabers, and from that moment on, Ahsoka once again had the weapons of the Jedi. Aside from eliminating the Inquisitor, Ahsoka and Organa's people evacuated the farmers of Raada and dealt a significant blow to the Imperials. After this, Ahsoka adopted the call sign Fulcrum and became a spy for the rebellion. Her task was to exchange information between various rebel cells. One of those cells was the rebel group on Lothal, known as the Spectres, with whom Ahsoka formed a closer relationship. One of the reasons for this closeness was the presence of two Force users within their ranks, Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger. Since Ezra was still learning about the Force, Tano often gave him advice, acting as a second mentor to the young man. One day, the rebels fell into a trap on Lothal, set by Ahsoka Tano's former master, who had turned to the dark side, Anakin Skywalker, now known as Darth Vader. Lacking information about who was piloting the enemy fighter, destroying ship after ship, Tano and Jarrus attempted to discover this through the Force. Touching Vader through the Force, Ahsoka cried out in horror and lost consciousness. Vader also felt the presence of the Togruta, realizing that his former Padawan was alive. Following a significant blow dealt by the Sith Lord, the rebels needed supplies and weaponry. Ahsoka decided to contact her old friend, Captain Rex, who shared with the rebellion the coordinates of old Republic bases. Rex also decided to join the rebels. Thus Ahsoka reunited with her old comrade in arms. Ahsoka soon learned that the Inquisitors, much like Cad Bane during the Clone Wars, were hunting down Force-sensitive children. Obtaining the coordinates of two Force-sensitive infants, Ahsoka hastened to one child, sending the Spectres to the other. Arriving at her destination and realizing she was too late, Tano proceeded to the second set of coordinates. Arriving in time, she engaged in battle simultaneously with two Inquisitors, the seventh sister and the fifth brother. Defeating the Inquisitors, Ahsoka and the Spectres managed to leave the planet, saving the children. After Jarrus and Bridger were attacked by the Inquisitors, they realized their presence among the rebels threatened the rebellion. When the Jedi sought Ahsoka's advice, she mentioned that she would typically turn to Kenobi or Yoda in such situations, to which Kanan responded that they could reach out to Yoda at the temple on Lothal, where our heroes then headed. In the temple, Tano encountered a vision of Skywalker, who expressed anger over her departure, calling her selfish and accusing her of abandoning him. He then asked Tano if she knew what he had become. Asking this question, the image of her former master dissolved into the image of Darth Vader, causing the Togruta to feel guilt and despair. The Inquisitors arrived, and it was necessary to leave the temple. As Ahsoka fled, she turned and saw Yoda, who waved at her. Smiling in return, she turned around and followed Jarrus and Bridger. As it turned out, Yoda advised to travel to Malachor, to which the trio of Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra flew. The group's goal was knowledge capable of defeating the Sith. The trio found an ancient Sith temple hidden underground where they were attacked by the Inquisitor, the eighth brother. But the eighth brother was not searching for the Jedi. His target was Maul, who had quickly gained Ezra's trust. Forced to unite with Maul against the danger posed by the Inquisitors, the Jedi proceeded to the temple's summit. When the enemies were dispatched, the Zabrak revealed his true plan and attacked Kanan. Ahsoka hurried to Ezra, who, deceived by Maul, activated the ancient Sith weapon. At the summit, she encountered Darth Vader, who was about to execute Ezra. After a brief emotional dialogue with the Sith Lord, Ahsoka attacked him. While Tano bravely faced Darth Vader, Ezra and Kanan managed to retrieve the holocron that powered the weapon. The temple began to collapse. Ahsoka, trying to save her friends from Vader, delivered a desperate blow that damaged his mask and revealed part of his face. Tano recognized her former master, and all her doubts were dispelled. Darth Vader was Anakin. These moments allowed Ezra and Kanan to escape. They did not see how the battle ended, as Ahsoka and Vader were trapped in the temple. The Jedi believed Ahsoka had perished, but that was not the case. The battle between the former master and apprentice continued. The advantage was with Darth Vader. When Vader was ready to deliver the final blow, a portal appeared behind Tano, from which a figure pulled the Togruta back. This figure turned out to be Bridger, who explained that they were in a world between worlds. Ezra then decided to save the fallen Kanan, but Ahsoka dissuaded the boy from doing so, as Kanan had sacrificed himself to save the lives of the Spectres. And saving him would result in the death of everyone Kanan had saved by his sacrifice. After Bridger let go of his teacher, they decided to leave the dimension. It turned out that all this was a ruse of Darth Sidious, who yearned to enter the world between worlds. Fleeing from Sidious, Tano jumped into a portal that returned her to Malachor. On Malachor, she found another portal into the world between worlds, entering which she embarked on a spiritual journey. After the Galactic Civil War, Ahsoka and Sabine Wren set out on a journey to find Ezra. Their target was Grand Admiral Thrawn, with whom Bridger had disappeared, jumping into hyperspace to save Lothal from the Empire. Around the 9th year after the Battle of Yavin, Tano, in search of Thrawn, found herself on the wooded planet of Corvus, where the former pupil of Chiss, Morgan Elsbeth, was the magistrate of the city. Ahsoka faced difficulties and could not reach the magistrate. In time, the Mandalorian Din Djarin, sent by Bo-Katan, found her. The Mandalorian was not alone, but with a child of the same race as the Great Master Yoda. Djarin sought Ahsoka's help in training the child, who seemed to be named Grogu. In the end, they made a deal. Din had to help the Togruta with her unfinished business with Morgan Elsbeth, and Ahsoka in return was to help with the training. Consequently, after eliminating the magistrate's people, Ahsoka faced her in a one-on-one combat. Proving to be stronger than Elsbeth, Tano learned information about Thrawn from her. As promised, she then informed the Mandalorian where to go to find a teacher for Grogu, pointing him to the planet Tython. It is known that Ahsoka later visited Jedi Master Luke Skywalker on a forested planet, where Luke was building a new Jedi temple to train a new generation. During the Togruta's stay on the planet, Din Djarin arrived to visit Grogu and gift him with a Beskar chainmail. In a conversation with the Mandalorian, the issue of the child's welfare was raised. Tano assured Din that the child would be comfortable at the school, and hinted that it would be better for Grogu and Din not to see each other, as attachment to the Mandalorian could negatively impact his training. Ahsoka also questioned whether the desire to see Grogu was for the child's benefit or for Din's own. After some thought, Din handed over the gift, asking Ahsoka to ensure Grogu's protection. Then Ahsoka joined Luke, observing Grogu's training. She remarked on the progress in his training, to which Luke shared his thoughts that Grogu had remembered more than he had learned, and asked what he should do regarding the Mandalorian. Ahsoka responded that he should trust his instincts, and after wishing Luke luck, she left the planet. The further fate of Ahsoka remains unknown, as do certain periods of her life, such as her travels through the world between worlds. The only information about Togruta is that in 35 years after the Battle of Yavin, when Rey was fighting Sidious, she heard the voices of Jedi, Ahsoka's voice among them.